What if I told you that the same company delivering your packages at lightning speed is also delivering crushing pressure on its workers, manipulating small businesses, dodging billions in taxes, and even contributing to environmental harm? Amazon might be a convenient choice, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than you might think. Stick around, because today we're exposing the dark side of Amazon, truths that they definitely don't want you to know. Imagine a corporation so powerful that its financial might could rival or even eclipse entire nations. That's not a hypothetical, it's the reality of Amazon. If Amazon were a country, its revenue would catapult it into the ranks of the world's largest economies. In 2022, Amazon raked in a jaw-dropping $513 billion in revenue. That means if Amazon were a country, its revenue would place it right among the 15th to 20th largest economies in the world. Yes, you heard that right. Amazon's revenue could rival or even exceed that of mid-sized economies. To give you a sense of scale, that's comparable to the GDP of Australia and Spain, whose GDPs range from $500 billion to $600 billion. Amazon's not just a retail giant, it's an economic powerhouse with a reach that dwarfs many of the world's nations. Yet, despite its massive profits, Amazon has become notorious for paying very little in taxes. In 2021, Amazon paid just $4.1 billion in federal income taxes on $33.4 billion in pre-tax income, a tax rate of only 12.3%, well below the statutory corporate tax rate of 21%. To put that into perspective, a small business owner making $100,000 might pay around 21% in federal taxes, more than Amazon pays on billions of dollars. How does Amazon do it? By using a combination of tax credits, deductions, and offshore tax havens, Amazon effectively minimizes its tax bill. This is perfectly legal, but it raises serious ethical questions. The result? While Amazon enjoys massive profits, it contributes far less to public services like education, infrastructure, and healthcare compared to what smaller businesses and individual taxpayers pay. Let's talk about the people who make Amazon's rapid delivery possible, the warehouse workers. Amazon's warehouses are known for their relentless pace, where workers are expected to pack, sort, and ship hundreds of items per hour. The pressure to meet these targets is so intense that some workers have reported skipping bathroom breaks, leading to stories of people urinating in bottles just to avoid penalties. In 2020, Amazon workers in the US reported injury rates almost double the industry average, and that's no coincidence. Amazon's system is designed for maximum efficiency, but at a cost, physical and mental exhaustion. Some former employees even describe it as a sweatshop environment. And it's not just the warehouse workers. Delivery drivers also face crushing workloads, with some saying they're forced to speed, ignore safety protocols, and skip meals just to keep up with delivery demands. It's a system that prioritizes speed over safety, and it's taking a toll on the people at the bottom. When workers try to fight back and demand better conditions, Amazon fights them every step of the way. The company has a long history of union-busting tactics, from mandatory anti-union meetings to using sophisticated surveillance tools to monitor worker sentiment. In 2021, workers at an Amazon warehouse in Bessemer, Alabama, attempted to form the company's first U.S. union. Amazon responded with an aggressive campaign to dissuade workers, including text messages, flyers in bathrooms, and even changing traffic light patterns to disrupt union organizers. Despite the intense pressure, the union drive gained national attention and exposed Amazon's tactics. But why is Amazon so afraid of unions? It's simple. Unionized workers could demand better wages, safer conditions, and more respect, things that don't align with Amazon's relentless pursuit of efficiency and profit. Amazon's dominance in e-commerce has sparked serious concerns about monopoly power. The company controls around 38% of the US e-commerce market, more than the next 9 largest retailers combined. This kind of dominance gives Amazon the power to set prices, dictate terms to suppliers, and crush competitors. Small businesses that sell on Amazon's platform often find themselves in a tough spot. On one hand, they rely on Amazon for access to millions of customers. On the other hand, they're competing against Amazon itself. The company has been accused of using its data to identify successful products from third-party sellers, then creating its own versions at lower prices, effectively driving those sellers out of business. Amazon's power isn't just bad for competitors, it's bad for consumers too. With less competition, Amazon can control prices, reduce choices, and ultimately dictate the future of retail. Amazon likes to present itself as a platform for small businesses, but the reality is much more complicated. While it's true that many small businesses use Amazon to reach customers, the company's aggressive tactics often put them in a precarious position. As a small business owner myself, I can personally attest to the harms they cause. Because Amazon buys in massive quantities, they are able to get products significantly cheaper than competition. This is what allows them to sell items at such low costs, often selling products below the wholesale costs that other smaller businesses pay. This forces their competition to be less competitive or lose money on everything they sell. This makes it impossible for even large retail stores like Walmart to compete. They even take advantage of the small businesses that sell on their platform. Amazon has been accused of copying successful products sold by third-party sellers and then undercutting them with its own versions. In some cases, sellers have been pushed out of business entirely. And it's not just about copying products. Amazon also controls the marketplace, meaning it can change rules, fees, or algorithms at any time, often without warning. This kind of power imbalance makes it incredibly difficult for small businesses to compete, and many find themselves trapped in a cycle of dependency on a platform that's ultimately working against them. That's only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Amazon's mistreatment of third-party sellers on its platform. The company has been accused of using its platform to exploit third-party sellers, engaging in practices that some describe as predatory. Amazon's marketplace is home to millions of third-party sellers, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and brands hoping to reach a global audience. But behind the scenes, these sellers face a harsh reality. They are competing not just with other sellers, but with Amazon itself. Here's how it works. Third-party sellers join Amazon's marketplace, hoping to tap into its vast customer base. But once a product starts to gain traction, Amazon may step in with its own version of that product, often priced lower or given preferential placement in search results. This isn't just speculation. In 2020, a Wall Street Journal investigation found that Amazon employees had used data from third-party sellers to develop competing products, a practice Amazon had previously denied. Let's take a real-world example. A small company sells a popular laptop stand on Amazon. Sales are booming, but suddenly, Amazon Basics releases an almost identical stand at a lower price. Not only does Amazon's version show up first in search results, but it's also listed as a featured product, making it nearly impossible for the original seller to compete. The result? Many third-party sellers see their sales plummet, and some are forced out of business entirely. But it doesn't stop there. Amazon's control over the marketplace means it can change the rules at any time, often with little or no warning. Sellers have reported sudden account suspensions, unexplained removals of product listings, and even being hit with unexpected fees. For some, these changes can be devastating, especially when they rely on Amazon for the majority of their sales. One particularly troubling practice is Amazon's tendency to hold on to seller funds for extended periods after an account suspension. This can leave sellers without the cash flow they need to pay suppliers, cover expenses, or even keep their businesses afloat. And while Amazon eventually returns the money in many cases, the damage is often already done. What's even more frustrating for sellers is the lack of transparency and support. Amazon's customer service for sellers is notoriously difficult to navigate. Sellers often face long wait times, unclear answers, and automated responses that don't address their issues. In a marketplace dominated by algorithms, getting human help can feel impossible. So why do sellers stay on Amazon despite all these challenges? For many, it's because they feel they have no choice. Amazon controls nearly 40% of the US e-commerce market, making it the single largest online marketplace in the world. For small businesses, leaving Amazon means losing access to millions of potential customers. The power imbalance between Amazon and its third-party sellers is stark. While Amazon rakes in billions in revenue, many of the small businesses on its platform are left struggling to survive. It's a classic case of David versus Goliath, except in this story, Goliath holds all the cards.
What if I told you that you are paying for Amazon's free shipping even if you don't buy anything from them? Let me explain. While Amazon's logistics network is massive, it still relies heavily on third-party carriers like USPS, UPS, and FedEx to complete the so-called last mile of delivery. But here's the catch. Amazon negotiates rock-bottom rates with these carriers, forcing them to deliver packages at a loss or barely breaking even. For the USPS, this is particularly troubling. While the Postal Service is required by law to
to provide universal service. Amazon's bulk discounts mean that USPS often delivers packages at rates far below what regular customers would pay. In fact, some estimates suggest that USPS loses about $1.46 per Amazon package they deliver, which adds up quickly when you consider that Amazon ships billions of packages each year. But the problem isn't just with USPS. Amazon's aggressive rate negotiations with UPS and FedEx have also squeezed these companies, leading them to pass costs onto other customers or cut services to maintain profitability. Amazon's power in the shipping industry allows it to dictate terms that benefit its bottom line, often at the expense of the carriers and, ultimately, the taxpayers. While USPS struggles to stay financially viable, it's forced to prioritize Amazon's packages, sometimes even ahead of regular mail. And when USPS runs a deficit, guess who's on the hook? That's right, taxpayers. The situation is so dire that in 2018, even President Trump criticized Amazon's deal with USPS, arguing that it was unfairly burdening the postal service. This isn't just about business, it's about fairness. While Amazon enjoys ultra-low shipping rates, small businesses and regular consumers end up paying more for their own shipping needs. It's another example of how Amazon leverages its size and influence to get the best deal for itself, leaving others to pick up the tab. Amazon loves to talk about its commitment to sustainability, but the reality is far less green. The company's carbon footprint is enormous, thanks to its global logistics network, which relies heavily on fossil fuels. In 2022, Amazon's carbon emissions rose by 18%, even as the company pledged to reach net zero carbon by 2040. Amazon shipped over 7 billion packages in 2021. That's a staggering number of deliveries, each one contributing to carbon emissions, packaging waste, and environmental degradation. Critics argue that Amazon's sustainability efforts are more about PR than real action. For example, while the company announced the climate pledge to be carbon neutral by 2040, its emissions have continued to rise year after year. And let's not forget the impact on local environments. Amazon's rapid expansion of warehouses and data centers often comes at the expense of green spaces and wildlife habitats. So, while we enjoy the convenience of 2-day shipping, the planet is paying the price. Ever wonder what Amazon knows about you? The answer? A lot. Amazon collects vast amounts of data from your shopping habits, Alexa interactions, and even your smart home devices. This data is incredibly valuable, and Amazon uses it to personalize recommendations, target ads, and even develop new products. But what happens to all that data? There are serious concerns about how it's stored, shared, and potentially sold. In 2020, it was revealed that Amazon's Ring doorbell cameras had multiple security vulnerabilities, including one that allowed hackers to spy on users. And with so much personal information in their hands, the risk of abuse is real. Your data is valuable, and Amazon knows it. But as the company continues to grow, so do the concerns about privacy and the potential for misuse. In a world where convenience reigns supreme, Amazon stands as a towering behemoth, an empire that seems to have it all. But beneath the glossy surface and the next-day delivery promises lies a darker reality. From the sweat-soaked faces of overworked warehouse employees to the ruthless tactics used against small businesses and the environmental toll of its colossal logistics network, Amazon's story is one of immense power cloaked in troubling practices. But why does all this matter to us? Because our choices as consumers shape the world. Every time we hit that buy now button, we're not just making a purchase, we're casting a vote for the kind of business practices we want to support. Understanding the true cost of our convenience helps us make more informed decisions and encourages companies to act with integrity. If you're concerned about these issues, consider exploring alternatives that prioritize fair labor practices, environmental sustainability, and ethical business models. Supporting local businesses and advocating for policy changes can make a difference. Thank you for joining me in uncovering the hidden truths about Amazon. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button for more insights into the corrupt corporations that shape our world. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Until next time, remain vigilant and keep questioning.